L'chaim, l'chaim. It's a big zechut, a big merit to be in a Farbrengen for the Alter Rebbe's Yahrtzeit. It should be a blessing for yourselves, for your families. Everyone should be blessed with the brachot, whatever they need, and health and wealth, and manachayim, and zayin and avicha. Amen. It's a story that I mentioned a few times. It's just the general concept that back in Farbrengen, Tzadik Ches, during the communism, my grandfather was in a school, in an underground school, Machteret, and they got together to Farbrengen on the Alter Rebbe's Yahrtzeit on Chabad of Teves. And that's when they came, the KGB knocked on the door and took them all in the prison. The younger ones they put in orphanages, and the older ones they imprisoned for a while. It's a whole story, and later on they escaped. But Baruch Hashem, we're blessed to have freedom to be able to celebrate whatever we want over here for the time being at least. And it should, Mitzvah Hashem, stay that way. And thanks for joining us today, and I hope everyone can be inspired, take it seriously, and take something with you for tomorrow. A lesson to take for tomorrow, for the next day, to put it into action. Like the Rebbe always said, "Hamaisa hu ikar," that the action is what's most important. You take the inspiration and you put it into something tangible. You're learning a little more, you do whatever it is that you could do. So I encourage everyone, while you're listening to the inspiring words from Rabbi Weiss, we'll Farbrengen a little bit, or a lot, and to take it to heart and see how you could implement something. L'chaim.
L'chaim, everybody, l'chaim. Such a beautiful crowd. L'kavod the Alter Rebbe, l'kavod Admor HaZaken. Thank you, Rabbi Yosef. Thank you, Rabbi Yossi. Thank you, Rabbi Mendel, Rabbi Lipsker. First of all, l'chaim, l'chaim. There's a saying that was said by the Hasidim of the Alter Rebbe, and the source was a very lofty source, that what a Hasidic Farbrengen can accomplish, even the angel Michael, the Malach Michael, who's the angel of kindness, cannot accomplish. The fact that Jews get together, especially on an auspicious day, especially on a Yom Sugula like this. So first of all, it should be a bracha for all of us sitting here, for everything that they need, for health, for parnasa, for shidduchim for children itself. And especially our brothers and sisters, Anisunim, Batzaru, Bashivya, and Eretz HaKodesh. They should go out mitzara l'rvacha, me'afela l'ergadol, mishibud l'gula, v'neimar amen l'chaim. So I saw today, I believe it was a instruction of the Rebbe, that at a Farbrengen of the 24th of Teves, we should do at least three things. The first thing we should do is we should learn something in the revealed aspects of Torah. And the second thing that we should do is learn something in the hidden aspects of Torah, in Chassidus. And the third thing is we should make a Farbrengen, we should talk about positive things. So here's going to be the order of things, because just to know, I'm not going to talk all the time. Hopefully there will be other people, but first of all, we're going to say an interesting halacha that maybe is very relevant and maybe people don't know. Then we're going to give a short overview of the Tanya that we're learning these days, which is a very critical part of Tanya. Probably, if I had to guess, it's one of the most important chapters of Tanya. And then I'll say one or two stories with hopefully a lesson, and then we'll take it from there. We'll say, the night is young. So it's interesting. How did I come to the halacha? How did I come to the halacha that I'm going to share with you right now? So there's a young man. He actually lives in France, and he collects unknown or not well-known letters or notes of the Rebbe that are till now not well known. So it seems that in 1967, the Rebbe's driver, his name was Rabbi Krinsky, he should live and be well. So he told the Rebbe that his brother had a car accident. His brother had a car accident and the car broke, and he was saved by, I guess what do you call it? What do you call it? No, a total. The car was totaled. The car was total. Total. Yeah, total. And he was by miracle he was saved, and the Rebbe's driver. The Rebbe's driver, Rabbi Krinsky, asked a bracha for his brother for the future. So the Rebbe tells him an interesting thing. I have to admit something that, you learn, and then you realize that you don't know the beginning. You don't know Aleph. So the Rebbe, I'm embarrassed to say, the Rebbe refers to a halacha in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, that today is his Yahrtzeit. Halacha in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, at the end of the first chapter of the Shulchan Aruch. The first chapter. Everybody should know it, right? So I'll share with you the entire halacha, and the Rebbe references, at the end of it. It's a line, it's a word that for people like me, you just skip it over. But the Rebbe, of course, was. So it's easy. It's a very easy halacha. I'll say it in Hebrew and I'll translate it quickly. It's very easy, and it's very beautiful and very pertinent, and it's something that we could remember. We should remember every day. Says the Rebbe like this: Toiv leimar b'chol yoyim. It's very good to say today. It's already printed in the Siddur. Toiv leimar b'chol yoyim parshas o Akedah. We should say the portion of the Akedah. V'hi achar advarim eila. Why? Liskoir zchus aves. That we should remember the merit of our fathers, that Avram Avinu was willing to sacrifice his only son. Then the Alter Rebbe says something that we don't have in our nusach, but there are people that say it. Parshat Haman, the portion of the man. Why? Liftoach b'Hashem, to instill within us trust in God. Noisen lechem dvar yoyim b'yoyim, who gives us our parnasa every single day. Trust b'tachin, shara b'tachin. Another thing that the Alter Rebbe says that is not, as far as I know, I'm not sure anybody, any nusach says it. Maybe they do. Says the Alter Rebbe, Vaseres Adibris. You should also say the 10 Commandments. The Yeser Al Kain, and more than this, Toiv Ma'od Leimar Parshas HaKarbanis. It's very good to say the Karbanot, the portions of the sacrifices. Shehein Oila, the Karban Oila, which is a completely consumed sacrifice. Shlamim, a peaceful sacrifice because it was eaten both by the Kohanim and the owners. The Taida and a gratitude sacrifice, v'chatos and a sin sacrifice, v'ashon vade v'tolui, a sacrifice also related to various guilt sins, whether it's for sure or in doubt. V'korban oila v'yored, another type of sacrifice that was a difference whether a person was wealthy or not. Uparshas nesachim, and the portion of the libations of wine. V'shar kol minches, and all the other minches. I'm not sure we say all this, but the Alter Rebbe is writing it. Kakosu b'ma'amodos, like it says in the various ma'amodos, which was printed in various sidurim, etc. L'kayim mashakasav. Why do we say all this? Why do we say all these sacrifices? We're not in the Beis Hamikdash. Says the Rebbe, L'kayim mashakasav, to fulfill what it says in the Shalma Parim Sfaseinu, that instead of the cows, instead of the oxen, the bulls, so we use our lips. In other words, instead of bringing an animal, we say with our lips. And like our sages tell us in the Gemara Menachos Al Pasuk, on the passage, Zois HaTorah, La'oila, Lemincha, L'chatos, etc. Says the Gemara, the very famous Gemara, that what happens if a person like us can't bring karbanis? We don't have a Beis Hamikdash, and we're not pure. What do we do? Kol ha'osek b'toras oila, etc. Whoever whoever learns the laws of oila, etc., as if he brought an oila. Kol makom. So this is, says the Alter Rebbe, this is what you're supposed to say. Just say it. Leimar. Somebody who has the heart, I guess he means also the brain or the patience to learn and to understand. Ein leimar afilu parsha kabanas B'chol yoyim ela leprakim. He doesn't have to really say it every day because he's learning it, he knows it. We, of course, say it every day. The dailoi, says the Alter Rebbe, ba'amiras perek ezel mekayman. It's enough to use that perek, the portion in tractate Zvachim called ezel mekayman. By the way, the famous reason, why do we say ezel mekayman? I bet you many people don't know this, because if I'm not mistaken, it's either one of the only or the only chapter in Shas that doesn't have an argument. There's no arguments in that whole Mishnayos. En machloket. Ki gadol Talmud amei v'dei ma'isa v'dei diyas HaTorah. Talmud is very good. It brings to action and to learning Torah, like it says in the laws of Hilchos Talmud Torah. Okay, here comes the punchline that the Rebbe was referencing. V'im yedeya shenischai beis hakorban. A person knows he violated a positive commandment on which you bring an oila. He violated by mistake Shabbos on which you bring a chatas. He knows that he needs to bring a korban. Alter Rebbe explains it. He knows that he didn't do a positive commandment. He forgot to put on tefillin one day, so he has to bring an oil. Or he wanted to do a negative commandment. He didn't do it. He wanted to do it. That's also, and also the toida. Here comes the pay attention, please. The toida and a korban toida, which is a gratitude sacrifice. Person, the Gemara says that there are 4 types of people that need to bring thanks. For example, a person who goes through a desert, a person who left prison, etc., or somebody who was sick. Yoimar parshas hakorban miyad shenischayim bay. He needs to say that portion of the korban immediately after he realizes that he was on. So a person had a bad thought on doing a negative commandment, so he has to right away say the portion of chatas. Yeah. Okay, we'll conclude. So when he says the karbanis, the portion, it should be during the day, because that's the time when you brought sacrifices. Not by night. You don't have to say it standing, even though a korban had to be brought standing. Like, you don't have to be like a Kohen who does the avodah standing. And then a Kohen. He's not a Kohen Ovid. Ella should be kriyosai by reading it. So tomorrow morning when you say the karbonis, and I try to remember what I said now. It's very good to say on Shabbos the portion of lechem apanim, which we don't say. Says. I'm sorry, Rabbi Lipsker is correct. We say it after davening. Excuse me. Many people in the Schoi say it on Shabbos. They add in the morning. They add the korban. I apologize. Rabbi Lipsker is right. So says the Rebbe in response to Rabbi Krinsky's note that his brother had a car accident, and he's asking for a bracha for shmira, for protection. Says the Rebbe, Ayin Shulchan Aruch Admar Azaken Madur Basum Sibnal. Look in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch that we just referenced. Yoimar Parsha Korban Miyad B'Yoim. You should say the korban that portion right away. He's telling Rabbi Krinsky l'chayra, your brother should say right away. You should have said the portion of Taida, because he was saved from an accident. V'tzarich iyon gadol, says the Rebbe. It's very I don't understand, or it needs a lot of thought into understanding why we Shalera Yisi Noegim came. Why don't we do this? The Rebbe had Tzarech Iyon Gadol. You need a real. Why don't we see that people do this? They should. I guess I would have to say Chatas like 24/7. So I guess that's one of the reasons. But anyways, maybe because even though this is brought down in the Shulchan Aruch, and I'm not going to get into it now, but there's a thing called the Siddur, where the Alter Rebbe brought down the real practical halachas, what you're really supposed to do, and this is not brought down in that Siddur. Said the Rebbe Murdik, tremendous. Because of such a question that maybe it's not brought down in Siddur, we should be mevatel, we should nullify such a clear Shulchan Aruch. So what's coming out is a tremendous chiddush in Sherman Oaks, Chav Dalet Teves, Tavshin Pei Dalet, in the schus of the Rabbanim, that over here, that we're coming out with a hayrah from the Rebbe, seemingly, that a person who let's use it in a good thing. He wants to say thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, He narrowly missed a tremendous accident. He was sick. He had an infection. He had a flu, and he got well. Baruch Hashem. He has no more fever. L'chayre should open up a siddur and say right away the Parshas Taida. So we'll conclude one more paragraph. L'chayre tzarich leimar haparsha l'tzedakah d'tzarich rabim. We should also say the portion of tzedakah. Shezeu b'chel. Afrosha? Sorry. Forgive me. It was a bad mistake. One of the things he says, the Rebbe tells Rabbi Krinsky, tell your brother to also give some tzedakah. I also didn't see such a thing happening. The Rebbe says a person has a reason to give thanks. He should give some tzedakah for reasons for purposes of public use. Connected to what the Alter Rebbe writes in the Igeres HaKodesh Katainti, anytime the Alter Rebbe writes over there, it's a beautiful letter that the Alter Rebbe wrote after he got out of prison in Petersburg, in Yutas Kislev. He wrote a letter saying that every time God gives us a kindness, we should not be haughty, we should just the opposite, feel lower, because we've just merited a tremendous chesed, a tremendous kindness that we didn't deserve. So therefore, he should be a little bit more humble. Tell your brother to be a little bit more humble, and therefore automatically, it will be in addition to the chesed it does. L'chaim. Keili ata v'yoydek Oy keili ata v'yoydek Chaim, everybody. L'chaim. It just hit me that during Ma'ariv I received a WhatsApp message from Rabbi Sapachinsky from Westlake that there's a Jew that needs some help paying his rent, and he asked me. He says he's going to make a magbit. Anyways, so why shouldn't I share a good thing with everybody? If anybody wants to donate towards a Yid who Nebuch has some issues, 2 children. It seems that he has some issues, some health issues, and he constantly has problems. If anybody wants to contribute, I guess Rabbi Lipsker will be able to facilitate it. So not only will we have the learning of the Alter Rebbe, we'll also have the Ma'aseh B'Poel of the letter of the Rebbe that we should also give not haparsha of tzedakah, but hafrasha of tzedakah, which is a very embarrassing. But okay, but Meshem tzachap and we get tzedakah. Okay. So, the Alter Rebbe, we'll talk about it. I don't like the Alter Rebbe, as everybody knows, his name was Shnei Or, Rabbi Shnei Or Zalman. The Rebbe, almost every single time that he spoke about the Alter Rebbe, he mentioned the constant his name. What was unique about the Alter Rebbe? What was unique about the Alter Rebbe was Shnei Or, 2 lights. And I was hesitating to say this, but in speaking to a very, very distinguished person who is very knowledgeable, not only in Chabad history, but in general history, in general Torah, a very big Torah scholar, he mentioned to me that from the time of the Rambam, I wouldn't say this. I wanted to say it, but I didn't have the guts to say it. From the time of the Rambam till the Alter Rebbe, there was never a sage that excelled, not only excelled, but also gave out publications that illuminated the entire Torah world on both the revealed aspects of Torah and the hidden aspects of Torah. The Rambam, of course, as we know, Baruch Hashem, we learn Rambam every day. It's such a beautiful shir. Rambam, his Sefer Yad HaChazaka, which is the the premier and the par excellence. And as I told somebody yesterday, somebody asked me what happens in yeshiva. What happens? So I told somebody, I said, what happens is that the rabbi gives a shir. The rabbi gives a shir, and he talks about the Gemara, and he talks about Rashi, and inevitably, towards the end of the shir, he says, now let's see how the Rambam learns. In other words, it's critical to learn something, to see how the Rambam looked at the revealed aspects of Torah. In addition to that, the Rambam, of course, wrote a work that was considered revolutionary at the time, called Moreh Nevuchim, and other aspects of other types of Torah. So the Rambam was a superstar in both the revealed aspects of Torah and also the hidden aspects of Torah. And of course, after the Rambam, there were hundreds, if not thousands, of scholars who either wrote in the revealed parts of Torah, the Pnei Yeshua, the Rebbe Yehuda, the Vilna Gaon. I mean, you're talking about great scholars. And then there were those that wrote in the hidden aspects of Torah, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, the Ari HaKadosh, Reb Chaim Vital. I mean, Ramak. I mean, these were giants of the Alter Rebbe. I say this. I always say this, so I'll say it again. It's amazing. You can have the biggest opponents to Hasidus. I'm not going to say names, but or even communities. No, it's not a joke. I'm not going to say community. You can have the biggest opponents of Hasidus. But if they learn Masechta Shabbos and Hilchah Shabbos, they learn the laws of Shabbos, and they learn the laws of Pesach, or they learn the laws of blessings, and they don't mention, or they don't deal, or they don't go in depth in the law, in the Torah of the Alter Rebbe, it's not learning. And even they recognize that. Somebody in Panovich, or in Hebron, or in any yeshiva in the world in Lakewood, you learn Hilchah Shabbos. I'm not saying that they have to paskin, that to choose like the Alter Rebbe, which many times they do. But I'm saying somebody that studies those laws that the Alter Rebbe wrote on at length, like Shabbos, Pesach, Bechsanen, and Ribbis, and other famous laws, if they don't learn it, it's as if they didn't learn it. And it's clear. It's not a political statement. Somebody who learns the laws of muktzah, the laws of bishul, the laws of bedikas chametz, the laws of ribbis. I have a book. There's a book. Everybody knows I do a lot of ribbis. There's a book put out by Art Scroll, a green book by a certain rabbi in Flatbush who is anything but a chassid. Trust me, he's very not chassidic. If anything, he's the opposite of it. And it's a book called Ribbis, because it's a beautiful English anthology of Ribbis. Every single footnote, I have it in my house, I underlined it in pencil, every single footnote is Alter Rebbe, it's Shulchan Aruch Harav. Because if you learn something like the Alter Rebbe wrote, and you don't deal with it, I'm not saying you have to, they all paskin, they all decide like the Alter Rebbe. But if you don't deal with it, it's as if you didn't learn it. It's as if literally somebody go to somebody and you say, I learned Hilchah Shabbos, and he doesn't learn the Shulchan Aruch Harav. It's not good. It's not in that, and that's why any rabbi who's worth his salt that writes a tshuva, a responsum on anything, if he doesn't bring down the Alter Rebbe, it's simply it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. I'm not talking about Chabad. So the Alter Rebbe was great in the revealed aspects of Torah. Then the Alter Rebbe made a sefer, which was a seminal sefer, meaning a sefer that was a revolution. Baruch Hashem, I believe there's a shir now also in Hebrew for the second round. Baruch Hashem, and hopefully maybe now we can make a shir in English even, and Tanya. And there's I don't know how it goes with the weekly shir, but I'm not sure exactly how Rabbi Yossi does it. But there's shiurim in Chabad of Sherman on Tanya. Also, of course, it's worthwhile to mention because without him we wouldn't be here. Our great Rabbi Gordon, he has on the internet a daily shir on Tanya, which is wonderful. My dear wife has become a big chassid of Rabbi Lipsker's younger brother-in-law. She drives me nuts every day. We're listening to this 3-minute in Tanya, which is wonderful. It's the guy, I never knew he was such a prolific Rabbi Yosef Chavrusa. And it's called, I forgot what it's called, Tanya in 3 minutes or 3-minute Tanya. Let's talk Tanya. It's just it's just amazing. But you have to know English because he has a very good English, whatever. So what was so Alter Rebbe made a sefer, and between us little friends, little boys, the sefer was so successful that a great student of the Gaon of Vilna, Rabbi Chaim Volozhin, realized that he has to do something because the sefer was becoming very popular, and he made a sefer. And it's clear, I one time read an article that pointed to various sources that was clear that the author of the Nefesh HaChaim, who was the great Rav Chaim Volozhin, definitely studied the Tanya before he wrote his Nefesh HaChaim, because he realized that if he doesn't write a sefer comparative to the Tanya, so the whole Lithuanian world will suddenly become Hasidim, which wouldn't be a bad thing, but I guess the world wasn't ready for it yet. Just to give you just a thing, the great Reb Chaim Volozhin, who was mamish, a very great person. He founded the Volozhin Yeshiva, perhaps the greatest yeshiva in history. He was the premier student of the Gaon of Vilna. He made one sefer. He made Nefesh HaChaim. He didn't make a sefer on Nigla, on revealed Torah. Okay, that's just a plug to what I said before about Shnei Yard. So, what is the uniqueness of the Tanya? What is special about Tanya? So, the specialness of Tanya is that it's in its name, called Sefer Shel Beinanim, the book of average people. I'm not an expert in these things, believe me, but I believe that a lot of ethical works before the Alter Rebbe focused on how we have to become tzaddikim, how we have to become perfect. And if we're not perfect, we have to do a lot of fasting and a lot of tshuva. The Alter Rebbe was the first one, and it's utterly amazing because we take it for granted because we grew up with it. But if you look at the Tanya, you'll see an amazing thing that the Alter Rebbe simply addressed the average person, how the average person is able to serve God, and that's the greatness of Tanya. That we're not talking to the tzaddik among us, to the one or two tzaddikim like we have in Sherman Oaks. The Alter Rebbe is talking to the average person, and even though it sounds a little bit daunting, what the Alter Rebbe says the average person can do, but he says it's possible. And I'll share with you, so this week we've been learning the 12th chapter of Tanya, which is probably the punchline, at least, of the Sefer Shel Beinanim. Up till now, the Rebbe explained, the Alter Rebbe is explaining different levels, different celestial spheres. And then the Alter Rebbe goes on to explain what a Rasha is, what a tzaddik is. And then he says in this week's Tanya, V'abeinani, the average person. The average person is he doesn't let the evil overcome and conquer his soul. And in short, because I'm not an expert, Alter Rebbe explains something very beautiful. He says the Beinani has Ra, he has evil, because the tzaddik banished it. The tzaddik got rid of it, or he was born without it. The Rasha, unfortunately, the Ra has taken over the city. He's in control. The Rasha, the Ra evil is control, and there's levels. There's sometimes control, many times control with a little good, little bad. But then there's a Beinani, and Alter Rebbe says that the average person, amazingly, he writes that the average person could reach the following level: that even though he has evil in him, meaning he has evil inclination, and it tells him, he says, you know what, down the block is a McDonald's, and you should go and eat cheeseburger. You should go because it's very gishmak. Cheeseburger is very gishmak. And then you go down the other block and you have shrimpim. It's very gishmak. Says the Alter Rebbe, the second that such a thought comes, and the thought comes because he has evil. Because the tzaddik doesn't have such a thought. The tzaddik doesn't even think about going to McDonald's, or doesn't think about eating shrimpim, because the tzaddik has no evil. But the Beinani still has evil, and the evil tries to get him. Umiyad, and the second that such a thought comes, he pushes it away. He pushes it away. And then the Alter Rebbe says words that if it wasn't for our Rebbe, it would be a disaster. The Alter Rebbe says that he says the following words, that not only doesn't he do it, but the evil doesn't reach his thought, speech, or deed of the Taryag mitzvahs. V'lo avar avera miyomov v'lo yaver lo'olam. He never did an avera, says the Alter Rebbe, and he never will do an avera. And he was never called a Rasha, because we said before a Rasha is somebody who the evil is in control. He was never called a Rasha even for one moment. So you learn this Tanya and you get very depressed because you know that yesterday you did an avera, and you know that tomorrow you're certainly going to do an avera. So that's it. It's over. Case closed. Close the book. Close the sefer. And that's it. It's over. It's not. I'm never going to be a Beinani because I did Avedas yesterday, and I'm probably going to do an Aveda tomorrow. Especially when I have friends like him, because with friends like him, you got to be careful. so it's over. Says the Rebbe Says the Rebbe the most important words that I ever heard from the Rebbe or ever saw from the Rebbe. What does it mean? Says the Rebbe, no, you don't understand. It means in your situation now, you have reached a level that the way you are now, you forget about yesterday, forget about tomorrow. The way you are now, you have reached a level that you wouldn't have done an Aveira yesterday, and you won't do an Aveira tomorrow. For example, give an example. A person is holding by Neila Yom Kippur, right? And somebody tells you, there's like a geschmack schnitzel outside, and you didn't eat for 23 hours. There's a good schnitzel with French fries outside, or like Rabbi Gordon would love to say, the 7-layer cake outside, 7-layer cake. So there's outside. Go. You wouldn't even. It's not even in your world. It's not even in your world. There's no way. None of us. Nobody sitting here would say, you know what, Chazan, hold on for Neila. Wait a minute. I'm going to go eat a piece of schnitzel. I'm going to go have a Diet Coke. I'm going to go have some French fries. It's not happening. It's not, because you're holding on such a level that it's not shayach. Says the Rebbe, every Jew, at least a few moments a day, at least a few times in your lifetime, you could reach a level that you're so high that the evil or the ra, the avera that your Yetzer wants you to do is so, in Yiddish you say abgefrekt. It's so, how you say it? No, mushlal. It's so not possible that, and at that moment you're a Beinani. The Rebbe is probably saying a tremendous chiddush, that the Rebbe is giving everybody a power. Don't look at yesterday and don't be depressed about yesterday. Don't be depressed about tomorrow. Don't worry about tomorrow. Today you're going to be a Beinani. Today, when the Yetzer Hara comes and tells you to go eat McDonald's or to go eat shrimp or to go and smoke a cigar with a heavy-set person with a blue shirt, so today you won't do it, and that's it. It's over. And that's a tremendous target. It's a tremendous nechama, a tremendous thing. So we have to. What's the lesson? What's the life lesson here? At least let's try to reach one time in our lives, one time in our day, one time in our week, the level that that doing an aveda, doing something against God's will, is so mushlal, is so so out of our league. I think that at least for a minute, we're a Beinani. L'chaim.
After the Alter Rebbe wrote the Tanya or printed the Tanya, I'm not sure exactly when it happened, and the Chassidim started learning and trying to implement it and to live like the way the Tanya, encourages everyone to live purposefully every moment and to stay in the Kedusha the whole time, etc. And the Simcha and all the things. And they were having trouble implementing it. And after a few months or after a year, when they came to the Alter Rebbe and said, Rebbe, it's difficult, we don't know how to do this. How do you do this? So, that's why I heard a story, I don't remember hearing it before. So the Alter Rebbe told them that, listen, you can't give someone a half a thing, a halba maisa, you have a half a project that, it doesn't work, you only have half of the story, you need also the other half to make the whole thing a complete package, so make it work. What's the other half? The other half is the negina, the song and singing. And it was a big chiddush from in Chassidus and from the Alter Rebbe and all the Rebbeim. The whole concept of negina and nigun was a very important part. And I guess the idea is that you internalize, you connect with the idea. It's not just a seichel thing, an intellectual exercise. It's something that you need to, to think about it, to experience it, to make it real. So Chaim, let's make it real.
In connection with what Rabbi Yosef just said, I want to share with you a beautiful story that I read that there was a few boys that came in the summertime. If I'm not mistaken, it was to a city in England. To a city in England, they came to do Lubavitch work. And unfortunately, as we know, we're still in Gullus, and not everybody appreciated, especially 20, 30, 40 years ago, appreciated the work of Lubavitch. They didn't understand what the Rebbe wanted. They didn't understand that every Jew, like the Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya, every single Jew has two nefashos, and every Jew is precious, and every Jew is part of a koma achat shlema. So they came to a certain area, and I read the story a long time ago, but I believe the story goes that they came to a certain area in London, and they felt that out of derech eretz, out of respect, they should pay their respects to the local Rav of the local area, who was also a Rosh Yeshiva, also a yeshiva, and that I guess they also felt that if they go and pay their respects to him, he won't say. They were concerned that maybe he would say something to the people in the community that would disturb their activities. So they figured they'll go and say hello. Maybe they'll work something out. Again, unfortunately, we're in Gullus and people that didn't hold of Lubavitch. So they went into this Rav, who happened to be a chassid of Satmar. A chassid of Satmar. He also was a Rosh Yeshiva. So they spoke to him, this and that, and in the middle, this Rav, he was very happy that they came, and he was very happy that they showed him respect, and they showed him, because that's what you're supposed to do. It's not a question of honiness or gaiva. A Jew comes to a town, you go to the Rav, you say Shalom Aleichem. In the middle, he realized that exactly what I said, that they're worried that he's going to do something against their activities, and that's why they're here. He said, wait a minute. You think that I'm going to do something against the Rebbe, against the Lubavitcher Rebbe? And they looked. He says, do me a favor. You see over there on the bookcase? Get up on the go up. And he said, yeah. He says, there's a tape recorder there. He says, go to the tape recorder and push play. Push play. This is continuing in connection to the story the word that Rabbi Yosef just said. So they went. They didn't know what he's talking about. So they went and they pushed the play. Suddenly, the Rebbe's holy voice, Sama lecha nafshi, and he says, whenever this Rosh Yeshiva said, whenever I come to a topic in Talmud that I simply can't get to the end of, I can't get to the bottom of, I play the Rebbe's tape, and after I hear the Rebbe talking, the Inyan becomes clear to me. The concept becomes clear to me. So I'm going to do something against the Rebbe? Are you out of your mind? So let's sing the song. Sama lecha nafshi, kama lecha besari, be'eretz tziyah ve'ayei beli. L'chaim, everybody again. L'chaim. Thank you so much, Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Yossi Lipsker, Rabbi Mendel Lipsker for bringing tonight. It's a wonderful thing. Chassidim, Rabbi Moshe, Rabbeinu Moshe, Mimoshe ad Moshe Ein Moshe, and Cheskel and Chabad of North Hollywood. Mimoshe ad Moshe Ein Moshe. No. L'chaim, l'chaim. So I want to share with you a beautiful story, a really beautiful story. And as Rabbeinu Moshe always says, that when there's a story, or when we learn something in the Gemara that has to do with Parshas HaShavua, so that's really special. So the beautiful story, the truth is, I know people don't have that much patience. The truth is, it's really two stories, but I'll do you a favor, I'll only say the second story. But let's just go with the conclusion of the first story, that there was a Yid in the city called Vilna. Vilna, of course, was the bastion of anti-Hasidism. Vilna was called the Yerushalayim, the Jerusalem of Lithuania, because it was mamish. It was a wonderful city, a lot of Torah, and of course, the Gaon of Vilna was the head of it. And in Vilna, they had a thing which I'm sure it also was in every city, but in Vilna it was very prominent. They had 12 prominent people, and each of these 12 people, they were wealthy and they were scholars. They were like perfect people. They were called the Parnas Achedesh. They were the Parnas. And in those days, these things were serious. This is not like today that you joke around with the Rav and you joke around with the president of the shul. In those days, a person who was, for example, even before the war, the thing in Hungary called the Rosh Hakol was a serious thing. It wasn't a joking matter. A person that was the head of the community, Nebuch, when the Nazis Yamach Shemam came to Europe, the Rosh Hakol was the first one to go, and unfortunately got killed because he went and he tried to help the Jews. Anyways, so there was a Yid in Vilna. His name was Rebbe Refols. And Rebbe Refols was everything we said. He was a wealthy man. He was a scholar, a very God-fearing Jew. And there was a whole story with the Alter Rebbe and a lady who was missing her husband, and he saw open nevuah, open prophecy from the Alter Rebbe, from the Admor HaZaken, and he began to realize that what people are saying about Hasidim in general and about the Alter Rebbe in particular is not really the way it is. So here comes the second story. Second story is that a Jew comes to Vilna, and he was a distinguished-looking Jew, and he comes to sit in the main shul in Vilna. Again, I want to say something that in most cities in Europe, there was only one shul. In Vilna, maybe there was more than one, but in a big shul, there was only one. Because no such thing that you go daven in another shul. I went on a heritage tour many years ago, and I went to a lot of cities in Germany and France, and there was one shul. That's it, one shul. One shul, one shul. And no, it's not a joke. It's not a joke because in that one shul they davened their nusach, and you weren't allowed to daven another nusach. And that was, by the way, the foundation of the one of the main foundations of the argument against Hasidim, that they daven a different nusach. What do you mean? You have a shul, you have our nusach, and that's it. It's not a joke what he said. In other words, it was very serious. It was very serious. Anyways, so a Jew comes to Vilna, Wednesday or Thursday, and he sits down in shul, and he sits and learns. And he didn't look like your regular, we'll use a bad word, a schnorrer, or some guy who's just collecting money. He looked like a distinguished person. And they told him, he said, Rebbe, there's a place for orchim, for guests to eat. If you want a hot meal, he said, no, I have my own. He took a piece of bread, a dry piece of bread, a little herring. So the shamish saw, the attendant saw that this is not a regular person. So he went over to him on Friday. He said, listen, there are many people here that would love to have guests on Shabbos. They love to have guests on Shabbos, especially a guest who you seem to be a Torah scholar, a Talmud Chacham. There are many people here that would love to honor as guests. What do you have to sit here and eat a piece of hard bread and herring? Go. He said, no, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to have my own, I have my little bread, my little herring, little wine. So he didn't know what to do. So he went to one of the rabbis, and together the rabbis went to this Jew, and he said, listen, there's a mitzvah, why aren't you letting people have the mitzvah of achnasas archim? So he said, okay, I'll go on the condition that you don't make me sleep in your house. I want to sleep in the shul. So okay, fine. He goes to a home of a wealthy individual who was also, of course, as everybody in Vilna, was a Torah scholar, and the man was just enthralled. He was just enthralled because they talked Torah, and he saw that this guy was mamish, a big Talmud Chacham, and he was a tzaddik, and right before benching, the host gives a groan, and okay. So the host, after benching, says, "Okay, I know we agreed that you're not going to sleep by me, but please, I'm asking you, please come tomorrow again, because I enjoyed Pashut learning." Okay, I'll come. Comes again the next day, the same thing. After davening, comes to eat, have a meal. They're talking Torah. They're there. Right before benching, the guy goes, gives a groan. Okay, they bench. Says, "Listen, do me a favor. Tonight is a mitzvah Malav Malka. Please, again, come to my house. We'll have a Malav Malka. We'll talk in Torah." So, okay. So again, same thing. He has a whole meal, Malav Malka, and right before benching, the guy says, the host gives azar, and this Yid, the Talmud Chacham, couldn't hold himself back. He says, "Rebbe, what's going on over here? Why before benching you have this minig, you have this custom to give azar groan, azar anacha, krechts?" So he says, "You really want to know? You really want to know?" He says, "Of course I want to know. Of course I want to know." So he says, "I'll tell you why." He says, "We have a big problem. I have a business, and the Kitzur Nimritz, the government, is doing something on me and my partner, and it doesn't look good. You know, between the lines, you maybe read that, you know, maybe he was a little bit b'chulu, and it looks like we're going to be going to prison le'aleinu for many, many years and lose our whole business, and there's nothing what to do." So the Yid says, listen, I'm going to tell you something, but you have to promise me that it remains between us. He says, I'm giving you, you were very nice to me, you hosted me for Shabbos, we had Torah, I'm going to tell you something, go, there's a Yid, his name is the Alter Rebbe, go to Liozna, the Alter Rebbe, and ask him for advice and a bracha, and I'm telling you it's going to work out. So the guy says, you know, it's if anybody finds out that I went to the Rebbe of Hasidim, it's going to be a bad scene. Be worse even than the government. So, for me to do it, I have nothing really to lose, but for me to do it, I have to ask my partner. So he goes, he calls his partner, and he says the whole thing. There's a Yid, he was here, he's a tzaddik, he's obviously a big tzaddik, a big Talmud Chacham. He told me that he gives me an eitzah. Please listen, go to Alter Rebbe. Didn't know what to do. He said, you know what? The Parnas HaChodesh, the monthly trustee of Vilna, is a very ehrlich Yid. He's a very honest person. His name is Remeir Rafals. Let's go to ask Remeir Rafals. He's an honest person. He doesn't look to be like a nasty person that's just going to say, don't go because he's a chassid. So okay, they go to Remeir Rafals. They tell Remeir Rafals, we need to ask you a question, but we want you to make us a promise that whatever you tell us, whatever advice you give us, whatever it is, this whole conversation remains between us. They didn't know that he already had a little admiration for the Alter Rebbe. They didn't know. So they tell him the story, and the Remeir Rafals says, listen to me, go immediately to the Alter Rebbe. Go to the Alter Rebbe and come back and tell me what he says. So the partner goes to the Alter Rebbe. They come to the Alter Rebbe. They come to Liozna, and they go into the Alter Rebbe, and they tell him the whole story. They cry, of course, and the Alter Rebbe says, you know, you're Talmidei Chachamim. You're Talmidei Chachamim. What does it mean in this week's parsha? What does it mean when it says in the Gemara, I think, that Malchusa da'ara ke'ein Malchusa d'Rakia, that the kingdom of above, the kingdom of God, the kingdom in heaven, is very similar to the kingdom of the earth. What does it mean? What does that mean? They're looking at him here, you know, Medicare is coming against me with 17 felonies, and this rabbi is asking me a pshat in a Gemara in Megillah, you know, Malchusa da'ara ke'ein Malchusa d'Rakia. We came here for a bracha to get out of it, and these guys, but they didn't know what to do. So they looked at him. So Alter Rebbe says, I'll tell you what the pshat is. I'll tell you what it means. He says, you know, it says in Parsha Shmos, Zeh Shmi La'olam, V'zeh Zichri L'dor Dor. So he says, Alter Rebbe says that La'olam, the word La'olam is missing avav. Why? Because it's Behelim, because God's name is hidden. He says, just like when it comes to God, we don't say God's name. We say Hashem. We say whatever Elokim. We don't say God's name because it's respectful. It's hidden. The same thing. A king. We don't call the king by his name, Peter or Nikolai. We call him Your Majesty or Your Highness or your royalship, your lordship. We don't call him Hey, Mr. Nikolai. No, the Rebbe should help you. You should be matzliach. They don't know what's going on. Apilpul with Malchusa da'ara ke'ein Malchusa d'Rakia, Zeh Shmi La'olam, Zeh Shmi La'olam. So they go back to the Remeir Rafals, and Remeir Rafals waiting every day to hear what the story is, because I told you, I didn't tell you the first story. He already saw the Alter Rebbe knew what he was doing. So he tells me, he says, what should I tell you? Should I tell you, he looks like a scholar, he looks like a Talmud Chacham. He told us a nice shir about Malchusa da'ara ke'ein Malchusa d'Rakia, but it was basically a waste of time. Basically a waste of time. So the Remeir Rafals says, you know, I'm sorry, I missed one prat. What Alter Rebbe told him. Forgive me. Alter Rebbe said, try to get in to the garden that the ministers go. Try to get into the garden where the ministers stroll in the main. When you go to the main city for your trial, before the trial, try to get into the garden and take a walk in the garden. So I also didn't understand, a walk in the garden. We're dealing with a problem. I'm going to go to Disneyland. What's going on? So the Remeir Rafals says, you know what? Do me a favor. Just listen to the Alter Rebbe. Listen to him. Go to the city. try to get into the garden, and I don't know, see what happens. Okay. So they figure, you know what? Maybe what the Alter Rebbe is saying is a hidden message over here. That the way to get the Yeshua is they're going to meet the guy, the minister of justice. They're going to meet him in the garden. They'll meet him in a calm setting, and they'll place they'll cry to him, and hopefully he'll listen. In a court of law, it's very serious, but in the garden, when he's taking a stroll, okay. So they go to the garden, and of course there's a guard there, and the guard says, "You crazy? You're a schnar, you're a yid. You're going into the garden." So they take out 100 rubles, they give him the garden. They say, "Okay, go into the garden." They go into the garden, they see this guy who looks like a minister, and he's giving a stroll. He's walking in the stroll. He's strolling. So they say, yeah, Alter Rebbe is nicht, this is the real deal. Here's the minister. So they run over to the minister and they get down on their knees. They say, "Please help us, please, David, please. It's not true. We didn't do it. We didn't do anything. And then, we have families. We have babies. Please." So the guy says, "Excuse me, what are you talking about?" He says, "We're the guys that tomorrow morning we're having a trial by you. We're having a trial in court on the case, on the big case, and we want to tell you that we didn't do anything and we didn't do it and we're innocent." So the guy says, "Excuse me, I'm not the minister of justice. I'm the minister of culture. I'm the education minister. I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're doing." So he says, go back to the whole thing. Alter Rebbe is his fantasies. Doesn't know what he's doing. So they go back. He calls his, "Wait a minute. Come here. Come back." They say, "You know what? I see that you're Jews, and maybe you can help me out. I have every week a study session with the Tsar. Every week I have a study session with the Tsar. So yesterday the Tsar asked me a question. He said he heard that in the Jewish Talmud it says, Malchusa da'ara te'ein Malchusa d'Rakia. And he asked me to explain to him, what does this mean? What does it mean, Malchusa da'ara te'ein Malchusa d'Rakia? What does it mean? So the guy says, so he tells the minister of culture, tells this Yid, he says, if you explain to me in a way that I could explain the king that he should understand, I'll go to the Tsar, and I'll say that you're good guys, and on my word, he'll pardon you. They say, what do you mean? You came to the right place. Malchusa da'ara came Malchusa d'Rakia. Zeh Shmila Olam, Zeh Zichli Dar V'der. Just like you don't call God by his name, you don't call Tsar Nikolai by Nikolai's name. He claimed the Tsar, the Majesty. Zeh Shmila Olam. Olam is missing a vav, and Zichli Dar V'der. Shmila. Guy says, amazing. You guys are such scholars. I ask you a question in the Gemara, and right away you know the answer, and such an answer, such a beautiful, clear answer. You saved me, because like this, I'm going to be big in the Tsar's eyes, and the Tsar will realize that I'm a good minister. I'm a minister of culture, and he'll give me a raise. So Kachava, he went to the minister of culture, went to the Tsar. He says, I'm going to tell you something. I met some people. We learned Talmud together, and we learned it. And I have to tell you that I came up with a great answer, and these guys helped me, and you got to pardon them. And the Tsar says, really, such an answer? I'm like God, because nobody calls me Nikolai. They call me Tsar, and they call me this. Boom, pardon. Everybody go home. Boom. They come back to Rebbe Rafos and they tell him the whole story. Rebbe Rafos says, "Okay, we're going to Liozna. We're going to become Hasidim of the Alter Rebbe. L'chaim, kein tia lanu, l'chaim."
אבא של רבנו הזקן, קראו לו ברוך. לא היו ילדים. הלכו לרבי רבנו ישראל בעל שם טוב ואמרו לו, אנחנו רוצים ילדים. כשהבעל שם טוב התפלל והבטיח להם נשמה גבוהה מאוד, אז אנחנו אומרים שהנשמה היא נשמה חדשה. מה זה נשמה חדשה? אז האדם הראשון היה בגן עדן, עד שהוא לא חטא, ירדו נשמות חדשות לעולם. זאת אומרת, לא היה בו שום חטא. הוא נולד, כמו שאנחנו לומדים עכשיו על מוישה רבינו, אנחנו בעצם לומדים על מה? נולד צדיק. כשהוא נולד, הוא נולד צדיק.
נגמר לבית כולו.
עד גיל 6 או 7 הוא כתב בירוש על התורה. שמעתי מאחד האנשים שהגיעו בשמיים והיבאו והתנגדו למה שהוא אומר, הרמב"ן וכל מיני רש"י, והוא ביטל את זה. ואמרו לו שלעתיד לבוא, מה אתה כן תעשה לעתיד לבוא? מה זה רבה? הוא אמר זלמן שני אור. זלמן שני אור זה שתי אורות. מה זה שתי אורות? אור אחד זה הגמרא, זה מה שאנחנו קוראים לזה התגלות, הגלוי, דברים שאנחנו לומדים, גמרא, לומדים משניות, הוא בעצם עשה את השולחן הערוך. שואל אותי שייקו לפני דקה פה, מי כתב שולחן ערוך לפני מי? יוסף קארו או שרבנו הזקן?
ברור שרבנו הזקן.
אז אנחנו יודעים,
שאלתי את השאלה.
הוא אומר בדיוק, ברור שרבנו הזקן.
לא חוכמה שהרבה יותר תשובות, הוא יודע.
יש על זה מחלוקת.
רבי, אתה אסור לך לענות תשובות.
יש מחלוקס.
ומצד שני, הוא בא וכתב את התניא. מה הקשר בין אחד לשני? איזה קשר יש בין התניא לבין שולחן ערוך? מי שמתעסק ברבנו עובדיה יוסף היה גדול בדור, שלו, והוא כתב שולחן ערוך. לא כתב איזה משהו תניא, לא כתב איזה משהו שהוא עניין שמדברים על עניין רוחני. אז אנחנו אומרים ששני העולמות, יש עולם שאנחנו מדברים, זה העולם העליון, ויש עולם התחתון. מה שעשה רבנו, הוא בעצם חיבר את שתי העולמות, כמו שעושים בחסידות, לוקחים את הקדושה ומכניסים לתוך הגשמיות. זה מה שעשה בעצם רבנו הזקן. הוא חידש לכל חב"ד, הוא בכלל חידש דרך חדשה, שהיא הדרך של חב"ד, שהיא דרך בעצם, היא קצת שונה מכל החסידות. היא יותר חוכמה. קודם השכל שולט על הלב. ומה שהוא עשה, הוא הצליח להביא את האלוקות, הכניס אותה בתוך הגשמיות, ואנחנו, בעצם כשאנחנו לומדים תניא, אנחנו לומדים גם את העולם שהוא שולחן ערוך. כי זה הכל היה בתוכו. הוא לא נולד, לקחת את שתי הקצוות, זה קצת קשה. אי אפשר להביא שתי קצוות ולהכניס אותם ביחד. בגלל שהוא היה כל כך גדול, והוא נולד כמו שהוא נולד, ואנחנו מדברים על זה שהוא היה קשור לבעל שם טוב, ברמות שהבעל שם טוב ברגע שהוא נולד, עשה סעודה ענקית. למה? הוא ידע שירד אור גדול, גדול, גדול. שמעתי שאפילו לקחו אותו יום אחד בגיל 3 לעשות לו אופשן, לעשות לו...
גלה.
הוא לא הסתכל עליו בפנים אפילו, מרוב הקדושה. בעל שם טוב לא מסתכל על רבנו הזקן. זאת אומרת שהוא הגיע, הרמה של רבנו הזקן היא דרגה שאנחנו פה לא נוכל להבין, וייקח הרבה מאוד שנים, פעם בכלל לא היו לומדים תניא. היום בכל מקום, בכל מצב, בכל ספרדים, אשכנזים, לא טוב, כולם לומדים תניא. מה העניין בתניא? מה אתה חושב שאתה מבין תניא? אתה יכול ללמוד. אתה יכול ללמוד הרבה תניא. אתה חושב שאתה מבין? מה שהוא הוריד, האור שהוא הוריד, זה אור גדול מדי בשבילנו. אבל לעתיד לבוא, אמר את זה הרב סגל יום אחד פעיה, כשיגיע משיח, בעזרת השם, יגיע היום בקרוב, והוא, שישאל אותנו מה למדנו, אז אנחנו נגיד קצת מה למדנו. זו היתרון בעצם של רבנו הזקן. כל מי שנמצא פה היום ולא לומד תניא, הוא קצת מפסיד משהו בעולם הזה. העולם הזה בנוי לתניא, העולם הזה בנוי למה שהוא הוריד למטה. גם השולחן ערוך שלו. אין בן איש חי שהוא אמר, שלא מזכיר רבנו זלמן. יש היום הרבה פוסקים גדולים בארץ ישראל שאני שומע ספרדים. הם מזכירים רבנו זלמן. למה? כי הוא היה לא גאון. הוא קיבל את מה שהוא קיבל מהעולמות העליונים. זה אורות שלא יורדים כל הזמן לעולם.
זה אור אלוקי.
זה אור אלוקי, אומר רבי וייס. אנחנו נשאר לחיים ולברכה לכולם. בסדר טובות.